As our favorite show is coming to an end, I think it's time that we have a little chat about it. I'm very sad, but also very excited about the finale, and now I want to give an honest review on it, mainly defending it because I think the hate it gets is forced, but why exactly does it get hate? Well, it doesn't even just come from its haters, it comes from its fans too. They think the show is, well, sexist. I know, right? What exactly makes it sexist? Well, let's talk about it. Before we get into the video, if you are seeing this before June 6th, please do not spoil anything about the finale in the comment section. I will not be seeing it until June 6th. Then after that, we can talk about it. If you are not seeing it until it comes out for free on YouTube, I highly suggest that you do not look in the comments until then. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Also, there's a thunderstorm going on right now, so if you hear thunder and rain, that's what it is. To me, it's either they hate Gooseworks or they hate Jax. I have seen a huge rise in this opinion ever since there was that controversy with the voice actors and Gooseworks. People started coming out and saying Gooseworks' sarcasm jokes were evidence that she was admitting that she hated women, which makes no sense to me. But we're not going to get into that today because that's not the point of our video. People also made these accusations after seeing Goose's favoritism towards Jax and the way that she writes the show, given that she is the only writer, and I think she does well for someone who writes by herself for the most part. However, I do agree with some takes that having a co-writer might have been helpful, but having one writer isn't a bad thing. Jax is what also led to the misogyny allegations. Jax is the second protagonist next to Pomni. He's the deuteragonist, and that has been set up since the beginning of the show. The problem? Everyone hates him. Well, a lot of people do, but also a lot of people love him, like me. And why is this if he's an awful male abuser character? Because he's well written. Because I like the way his character is going. He's not a good person, but he is a good character. He also leads into why people have been giving Pomni crap. Oh my god, they all want to paint her as a Jax enabler so bad, it drives me insane. Pomni obviously doesn't condone any of Jax's actions. Matter of fact, she does remind him of what he's done to her throughout the show. There's that time in the anime adventure where she reminded him about the time he threw her out of a moving truck. She read him like a book in episode 6 during their fight scene, and even questioned his archetype being the villain. But why did she act shocked when he started treating her like garbage again? What did she expect? It's Jax. It's weird for him to be acting like this towards her. She side-eyed him the first time he was nice to her, and always acted kind of annoyed by him, except for the picnic adventure, where they have their first bond, and even seemed confused when he apologized to her about the president adventure. She was also confused about him caring what other people felt. But why doesn't she say anything about what he does to the others, especially Gangle? Now, I would suggest checking out Trixie's video analysis on TikTok about Pomni. It's a really good video and debunks a lot of the hate Pomni has been receiving. Trixie states that Pomni never saw the bullying and abuse that Jax puts on Gangle. Or at least in the show, anytime Jax was harassing Gangle, Pomni was not there to witness it. Even if she was there physically, she was not mentally. She's either only ever heard a little bit about it, or seen snippets of it, and none of it was enough to see how severe it actually is. Perhaps she could have learned more about it in her conversation with Gangle in episode 4, but Gangle ended the conversation. Now listen, I totally understand why he is both the most loved and the most hated character. You either love him or you hate him. The fandom is split between, if you sympathize with him, you're enabling him, or he is misunderstood and it's unfair to hate him. And in my opinion, the hate is justified. You do not have to like his character, nor do you have to like the fact that he is the supporting character. I myself even have my own critiques about the show, which is for another video, and if you have every right to be critical about it. However, I will say this, you have to stop acting so entitled. This is Gooseworks' show, she is the one who wrote it, and she knows her characters better than her audience. Whoever she wishes to be the main characters shall be. And if we want our favorites to be the main characters, that's why we make fanfiction about them. Jax being the protagonist and Goose's favoritism towards Jax is what led to the label of the show being male-centered. You know, I'm starting to think that a lot of Digital Circus fans don't know what a male-centered show actually is, so let's Google it. According to Google, a male-centered show is a television program where the primary protagonist is a man, and the narrative, themes, and world building revolve heavily around his specific experiences, perspectives, and relationships. Our main protagonist is Pomni, who is a woman. The first 4 episodes are in her perspective. Episode 3 has Kinger supporting her, and Episode 4 has Gingle. Episode 5 is a bit of Jax and Ragatha, and Episode 6 is also Jax and Ragatha. I would say maybe 7 is where it gives a little more of Jax's perspective, maybe a little more than Pomni's, but in Episode 8 she completely gets her main character arc back, and I love that for her. And Jax is even actually being a little helpful in it. Plus, the cast even has more female characters in it than male. The cast alone is an ensemble, I would say. Every main and supporting character is important in their own way because each of them have an insecurity they are struggling with, very realistic insecurities that everyone can see themselves in. Every character has had more than one perspective in their own scenes to show us who they are, what they represent, and their role in the show. Pomni being our lead protagonist and showing us her journey with this ensemble cast, it does not make sense to say that this show only or mostly prioritizes a male or female perspective. Think of Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, the show's main inspiration. Each of the characters for Digital Circus seems to be a mirror of the 5 main characters from I Have No Mouth, Jax being a mirror of Ted, the narrator and lead protagonist. So that would explain why Jax is the second protagonist. Then there's Ragatha being a mirror of Ellen, who to me seemed like a deuteragonist. Zubul being Benny, Gangle being Gorrister, and Kinger being Nimdok. Now, you'll notice that there isn't really a Pomni in I Have No Mouth. Pomni seems like a lot of different things. That's because Pomni is the center of it. She's the one whose mission is to develop the others, help them grow as people. The reason it seems like it's mostly Jax is because he is the only one who keeps trying to push her away when she's trying to understand him. That's another thing. People seem to think that this show wants you to feel bad for Jax, and when they're showing you what he went through or what he goes through, they are excusing his actions, which is not accurate at all. We all, even the creators, know that what Jax does is wrong. The point isn't so that you feel bad. You can't feel bad, but the point is so that you understand how he got the way he is today. I'm going to read a comment I got on an analysis video I did on my TikTok. User Ziggy Cosplays 1987 said, I have not watched the whole video yet, but I'm already on your side. I hate when people describe writers giving characters backstory as excusing their behavior. Like, no, they aren't excusing anything, they're just telling the story of why the character is like that. Because obviously people don't typically do bad things for no reason at all. The only times I agree with that accusation is in cases like Season 2 Jinx, where they just give a badly written redemption arc to the character that doesn't really make much sense, or the newer version of the Lorax, where they turned a meaningful story about real global issues and remade it with way too much unnecessary focus on the Onceler's personal issues, but I don't think we have seen that in Jax so far, as his backstory is a lot more relevant, and I'm optimistic that we won't. I'm fine with a potential redemption arc as long as it is well written. So exactly, no one is born evil or a bad person. No one wakes up one day and decides to go and ruin someone's life just for the hell of it. Think of what they say in Wicked. Are people born wicked, or do they have wickedness thrust upon them? While the way Jax turned out cannot be justified, there can be context given for it, and it can be explained, and possibly fixed. If the ending is anything like I have no mouth and I must scream, I would guess that Jax could get a two-way redemption arc. Now, I want to talk a bit more about Pomni. Going back to what I said earlier about Pomni being the one who develops everybody else, I can compare her to Steven Universe. A lot like Steven, every episode she has tried to help everybody with their problems, but nobody exactly helps her with hers, except for episode 3, where Kinger gives her advice. And sure, Ragatha tries to make sure Pomni is okay, and she wants to be there to help everybody. She just has trouble with it. Pomni was trying to understand Ragatha, but Ragatha would make that difficult. And she was trying to understand Jax, but Jax would push her away. So, no, Pomni never chose anyone over anybody. She was trying to hear all of them. She wanted both Ragatha and Jax to feel seen and not alone, no matter how bad anyone is. She even tries to team up with Ragatha in episode 6, but Ragatha said no. Jax was the only one left to team up with. Going back to what I said earlier about the show being male-centered, that's what many people want to paint Pomni as. A pick-me, an enabler, a misogynist. I could go on, unfortunately. If a female character gets along with a male character easily and bonds with him, she's not automatically a pick-me, let alone male-centered. She is a deeply empathetic person. Plus, she has had many moments with Ragatha and Gangle. She was even hanging out with Ragatha in episode 7, and began bonding with her more. She's definitely her favorite in the circus. The show being male-centered is really only an interpretation of the show rather than a fact, but I have seen a lot of people try and gaslight the show's fans into thinking that their opinion about it is the right opinion, and anyone who thinks otherwise, and that the show is well written, is just too stupid to understand. No, that was your interpretation, and you said nonsense. The way I see it, going back to comparing Pomni to Steven Universe, perhaps she believes that anyone is capable of bettering themselves. Maybe she sees herself in Jax. Maybe she had the same struggles as him in the past and knows that she could have ended up like him if she didn't do something about it or get help. But she is not naive. She's aware that Jax is a terrible person, but she also knows that he is still a person who's in the same boat as them and is just coping in an unhealthy way and suffering silently. So she still sees him as someone who needs help, and that how he ended up was not good. While it's not right how he ended up an awful person, it's realistic that people do actually end up like that because they are a mess, and hurt people hurt people. And that phrase does not mean it's okay. It's just a fact. That reminds me that I've seen a lot of people argue about Pomni saying we've all done bad things, and it kind of gave people more of a reason to paint her as a Jax enabler. Now, I can see why that wording might seem a little bit off, but here's a deep dive into what Pomni meant by that. I also recommend checking out Nerdy Mixpan's video on TikTok about this. I am going to be bringing up some of the points they made. It's a really good video, and they make some pretty cool content. So Pomni could have also meant it in a general way, before they entered the circus as well, but she does not mean that they are all bad people and equally as bad as Jax, who is obviously the worst person there. But think about the context of where the scene took place. This was right after Jax risked trapping them in the circus forever, and they found out the exit wasn't real. Pomni wasn't backing up Jax, talking about all the torment he's put upon them. She was talking about the bad thing he did just now. Pomni is acknowledging, yeah, we're stuck with this asshole and each other, but we're all we've got. Just this small group of people. But that doesn't mean they have to put up with each other every day. Part of Gangle's development is learning that she doesn't have to be a victim of Jax anymore. She's starting to set boundaries. The only thing I disagreed with them on was that they were choosing to forgive him. Nobody was giving Jax a free pass and saying they forgive him for everything. You know, the saying forgive and forget, right? Well, right now they're just forgetting and letting it go for now and be there to support each other, even Jax. Zubul said it. He's one of them still in the same boat. It doesn't mean they have to be friends, but it also doesn't mean they don't care about him or want him to abstract. Now, what exactly are the bad things they have done? Because Ragatha and Kinger didn't do anything wrong, right? Well, no, they haven't really done anything. But to our knowledge within the circus, Ragatha said a few mean things before. In episode 4, because of the stupid sauce, and in episode 5, where she reminds Jax of his deceased friend. It was on accident, but she still feels bad. Kinger has a lot of things he hated himself for because he felt responsible for getting him, his wife, and his coworkers trapped in the circus. He's responsible for getting him and Pomni trapped in hell. He doesn't mean any of this, but he still feels bad about it. Pomni left Ragatha to die in the pilot, justifiably so, but it still upset Ragatha and she still felt bad. Gangle went a little nuts in the fast food adventure. Zubul is sometimes a grump who tells everyone to F off, and Jax is, well, an awful person. None of these compare to Jax, of course, but it's still something. And hey, Pomni wasn't lying. All of us in real life have done something bad. We've all made mistakes. We've all done something we're not proud of. We've all done things we regret. It doesn't make us all awful people. It only makes us flawed. This is another thing I love about Pomni. She's self-aware. She knows she's not perfect and that she can make mistakes. She knows she has flaws just like everyone else. And she's not constantly trying to make excuses for herself or the others. She is willing to grow as a person and to help other people grow. So no one in the circus is perfect, not even Pomni herself, and she knows that. But at the end of the day, she is only a human who is trying her best. Now for a few closing thoughts. You are allowed to criticize the show. It is an amazing show, but no show is above criticism, in my opinion. It's got its flaws, but that's okay. And all I'm asking you is that you stop acting entitled. I am very happy for Glitch and Gooseworks. They are making history right now, and honestly, I can't remember the last time I was this hyped about a show. It really has helped me through a lot, and I can't believe it's ending. I was 17 and a senior in high school when the pilot first dropped. I watched the pilot a month later after finding out about it on TikTok, and I loved it. I thought it was so cool. Now I am about to be 20, and I don't think I'm going to be able to move on from it so easily. I'm probably still going to continue to talk about it. That includes today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day or night.